It was a cold Monday morning. The office was busy. Phones were ringing, heels clicked across the marble floors, and people rushed to their desks with coffee in hand. Nobody looked at the woman in the corner. She wore an old gray sweater, plain black trousers, and a scarf that had faded with time. Her shoes were cheap and quiet. In her hand was a cleaning cloth and a small trolley full of supplies. She walked slowly across the shiny floors, her eyes lowered. No one said hello. No one asked her name. To them, she was just the cleaning lady. Adil, the floor manager, walked by with his usual loud voice. "Oh, careful with that mop," he said, wrinkling his nose. "This is an office, not a street corner." Some staff nearby laughed. The cleaning lady said nothing. She quietly moved aside and kept wiping the glass windows. In the meeting room, people were preparing for a presentation. One of the interns accidentally spilled tea on the table. "Call the cleaner," someone shouted. She walked in slowly, bent down, and cleaned the table with calm hands. The intern watched her quietly. He noticed something strange: her hands. They looked soft, not like someone who cleaned floors every day. He wanted to ask her something. But then Adil walked in again. "Don't waste your time talking to her," Adil said with a smirk. "She probably doesn't even speak English." But the cleaning lady heard every word. She smiled softly and walked out. She entered the elevator and pressed the top floor button, the CEO's floor. Nobody noticed that she had a special access card. Nobody questioned why a cleaner would go there. She walked into the empty CEO's office. It was silent, beautiful, and full of expensive things. She walked straight to the big glass desk and cleaned it with care, but then stopped. She stared at the chair. She touched the nameplate on the desk that said, "Mr. Zubair, CEO." Her fingers brushed the nameplate. Then she opened her bag and took out a small photo. It was an old black and white photo of a young girl standing in front of a small cleaning company office. She whispered, "You promised me this dream. I'm here now." Then she put the photo back in her bag, wiped her tears, and left the office. Downstairs, people were laughing during lunch break. The cleaning lady sat alone in the hallway, eating a simple sandwich from a paper bag. The same intern from earlier walked by again. He stopped and looked at her. "Are you okay, ma'am?" he asked softly. She looked up and gave a gentle smile. "I'm fine, thank you." "Do you need anything?" She shook her head. "No, but thank you for asking." He nodded. "I'm Fahad. I just joined this month." She smiled again. "Nice to meet you, Fahad." And with that, he left. Later that day, Adil walked past her again. He dropped an empty coffee cup on the floor, right in front of her. "Pick that up," he said without even looking. She bent down, picked it up silently, and threw it in her cleaning bag. But her eyes were calm, not angry, as if she was waiting for something. At 6:00 p.m., the building started to empty. Lights dimmed, chairs rolled into place, and computers were turned off. The cleaning lady walked slowly through the now quiet office. She looked at each desk, at the names, at the people who never looked at her twice. She reached her trolley and pulled out a notebook from the bottom shelf. It was all but clean. Inside were names, handwritten in careful letters. Some names had a red mark beside them. Others had a green check. She looked at Adil's name and placed a firm red mark next to it. She whispered to herself, "Soon you'll know who I really am." Then she packed her things, took one last look at the office, and walked out into the night. The next morning, the office lights flickered on again. The employees walked in with fresh coffee, expensive bags, and loud voices. But one thing remained the same. No one noticed the cleaning lady. She arrived early, before most of the staff. She quietly cleaned the glass doors and straightened the chairs. Her eyes watched everything, but her face stayed calm. Adil entered, talking loudly on his phone. Yes, I'll handle the new deal. The boss trusts me." He looked at the cleaning lady as he walked past. "Still here, old woman? Don't you ever take a day off?" She looked at him with a soft smile and said nothing. Inside, she marked another red dot beside his name in her notebook. That day, A new rumor spread in the office. Someone said the company might be sold soon. Others whispered that a new owner had bought a large share quietly. No one knew who it was. Everyone looked scared. Do you think they'll fire people? One employee asked. Probably the low-level staff first, another replied, looking at the cleaning lady. She heard them, but she just kept wiping the floors. Later, during lunch break, the same kind intern, Fahad, came to her again. He offered her a bottle of water. You must be tired, he said kindly. She took it, smiling. You're a good boy, she said. You treat people like humans. Fahad sat on the bench near her. Can I ask you something? He said shyly. She nodded. Why do you always look so calm, even when people are rude to you? She paused, then answered softly. Because I already know who I am. And soon they will too. Fahad looked confused, but he didn't ask more. In the afternoon, two managers walked into the pantry and started shouting. Apparently, a client had cancelled a meeting. Blame was being passed around. A deal shouted. If we use that deal, someone's head is going to roll, and it won't be mine. From the hallway, the cleaning lady stood watching quietly. She saw how nervous the workers were. She saw how cruel some leaders became when they felt weak. She picked up a broken coffee cup from the floor and kept walking. Back upstairs, she went again to the CEO's office. This time, she didn't clean. She stood near the desk, staring at a large photo on the wall. It was an old picture of the company's founders. Her eyes locked on a man in the middle, her father. She whispered, You gave them everything, and they forgot your name. But I haven't. She opened her notebook again. She wrote something under the page with Adil's name. It said, Final test soon. Let him speak freely. Later that evening, she walked by the conference room. Inside, the senior staff were talking about the new mystery owner. No one knows who it is, one said. They're coming next week for a surprise visit. Whoever it is, they'll clean this place up, someone joked. The cleaning lady smiled quietly. She walked away before they noticed her. Back in the storeroom, she placed her notebook inside a locked drawer. On top of it, she put a golden envelope. It had one word written on it. Reveal. She looked in the mirror beside the shelf, removed her scarf, brushed her hair back. And for a moment, she didn't look like a cleaner. She looked like a leader waiting for her moment. The office was busy again. Everyone worked with nervous energy. The rumor of a mystery owner coming soon had made people restless. No one knew who it was, and that made them afraid. Inside the glass meeting rooms, people spoke in whispers. Managers blamed juniors. Juniors worried about being fired. Some even tried to act more professional, hoping to impress whoever was coming. But still, no one looked at the cleaning lady. She moved through the office quietly, pushing her trolley, picking up trash and wiping tables. She heard everything, and she remembered it all. That morning, Adil stood at the front of the office, giving a fake speech to his team. This company is built on respect and teamwork, he said proudly. We must treat everyone with care. The staff clapped weakly. The cleaning lady stood nearby, wiping the glass walls. She paused and smiled faintly. The same man who threw trash at her was now pretending to care. After the speech, Adil walked back to his desk and called a friend. He didn't know she was nearby, cleaning behind the thin wall. This new owner is a joke, Adil said on the phone. Whoever they are, I'll win them over. I always do. I'll run this place one day. The cleaning lady heard it all. She picked up her notebook and quietly wrote, Let him leave the next meeting. Watch what happens. That afternoon, Fahad, the kind intern, walked over to her again. He gave her a small snack packet. You always look like you forget to eat, he said with a smile. She laughed gently. You have a good heart, Fahad. Don't lose it. He sat down beside her. You know, some people here don't like kindness, he said. She looked at him. It's not about who likes it. It's about who needs it. Back upstairs, Adil was walking through the office, pretending to be busy. He stopped near the cleaners area and called out loudly. You missed a spot. What are we paying you for? The cleaning lady came over and cleaned the corner. She didn't say a word, but she looked at him for just a second longer than usual, and in that moment, something changed in her eyes. At the end of the day, an official company email was sent. Team, tomorrow, Mr. Zubair's daughter will visit the company. Please be on your best behavior. Admin office. The employees buzzed with new gossip. Zubair's daughter. He had a daughter? Wasn't he one of the founders? Wait, could she be the new owner? Panic spread. People cleaned their desks, fixed their ties, and planned what to say. Only one person didn't react. The cleaning lady. She smiled to herself as she wiped the CEO's nameplate. That night, she stayed back after everyone left. She entered the CEO's office and locked the door. She took off her cleaning uniform and opened the bottom drawer. Inside was a folder marked Omer's documents. She took out the papers and placed them on the desk. Then, from her bag, she pulled out a pair of glasses, a neat blazer, and a watch that had once belonged to her father. She stood in front of the mirror. The transformation was quiet, but powerful. She whispered, "Tomorrow, the masks will fall. The real faces will be seen." She turned off the light and walked out, no longer just a cleaning lady, but a queen ready to take her throne. The sun rose on a new day. But this was not just any day. It was the day the company's mystery owner, the daughter of late Mr. Zubair, was coming. Everyone in the office was dressed in their best clothes. Suits were pressed, makeup was perfect, and even Adil wore a bright tie and carried a fake smile. People talked in whispers. Do you think she's strict? What if she shuts down departments? I heard she's rich and powerful. No mercy. The office had never been so quiet and so full of fear. Fahad, the intern, walked in with his usual kind smile, but he too looked nervous. Still, when he saw the cleaning lady walking past, he gave her a warm nod. She looked different today. Not just her clothes, but the way she walked. Straight back, calm steps, sharp eyes. Fahad noticed, but said nothing. Around 10 a.m., the admin team called everyone to the meeting hall. The new owner will arrive shortly. Please be respectful, said the HR lady. Adil stood near the front, adjusting his collar, whispering to others. I'll introduce myself first. I know how to impress big people. He looked around proudly, like a king waiting for his crown. Then the door opened. Everyone turned. Footsteps echoed in the hall, and there she was. The cleaning lady, but not in her uniform. She walked in wearing a sharp black blazer, neat trousers, and clean shoes. Her hair was tied back. Her face was calm. Her eyes were powerful. Gasps filled the room. People looked at each other in confusion. Fahad stood in shock, unable to speak. Adil stepped forward, angry. Who let her in? This is for owners, not janitors. She walked straight past him and stood at the front of the room. She turned to face the staff. Then she spoke. My name is Mariam Zubair. I am the daughter of Mr. Zubair, founder of this company. For the past 6 months, I've worked here as a cleaner, watching, listening, learning. Silence. No one moved. She continued. I wanted to see how this company truly runs. Not just in numbers, but in hearts. Her voice was soft but strong. She took out her notebook. I made notes. I marked names. She looked around the room. Some of you treated me like dirt. Threw things at me. Mocked me. Ignored me. But one person offered me water, spoke kindly, treated me like a human. She pointed to Fahad. You showed real respect. Thank you. Fahad stood frozen. He looked like he couldn't believe what he was hearing. Then she turned to Adil. And you? Adil laughed nervously. Miss Mariam, I didn't know it was you. She raised her hand to stop him. Exactly. You didn't know. And that's the problem. You only respect those who have power, not people. Adil's face turned pale. People began whispering. Mariam opened her folder and showed papers. These are my legal documents. I now own 75% of this company. She looked around the hall. Things are going to change. Promotions will be based on kindness and honesty, not fake charm. and those who look down on others will answer for it. The staff stood silent. Some had tears in their eyes. Others looked down in shame. Fahad stood tall, still shocked but proud. Mariam took a deep breath. This is no longer just a company. It's going to be a place where people are seen, heard, and respected, whether they clean floors or sign deals. She walked out of the hall, leaving silence behind her and a new future ahead. The next morning, the office was silent. No one spoke loudly. No one laughed at others. The news of Mariam Zubair, the cleaning lady who was actually the owner, had spread through every corner of the building. People moved carefully. Some were ashamed. Some were afraid. Some were still in shock. And Adil, he looked like a ghost. He stayed in his cabin, trying to act busy, but he kept checking his email, waiting, hoping he wouldn't be fired. Mariam arrived at her new office, the CEO's room. She sat calmly in her father's old chair. The same desk she had cleaned every night now belonged to her. She looked out the glass window and thought about everything she had seen while working as a cleaner. So many fake smiles. So many real hearts hiding behind silence, she whispered. That day, she asked for a meeting with the top staff. One by one, the managers came in. They looked nervous. Mariam didn't shout. She didn't insult anyone. She just asked one question to each person. When was the last time you treated someone below you with respect? Some had no answer. Some lied. Some told the truth. But their eyes gave them away. She watched each face closely. She wasn't just checking words. She was reading hearts. Later that day, she walked through the office without her uniform. People looked up. Some stood quickly and greeted her with "Good morning, ma'am." But she didn't smile at their fear. She smiled at those who had always been quiet and kind. The receptionist who once offered her a tissue when she was coughing. The guard who always said "Allah Hafiz" with respect. The tea boy who never looked down on her. She had seen them all. Now they would be seen by everyone. Fahad was working at his desk when she stopped by. He stood up quickly, nervous. "Good morning, ma'am," he said softly. She smiled. "You don't have to call me ma'am. Just Mariam is fine." Fahad looked surprised. I didn't know who you were." Mariam nodded. "But you still treated me kindly. That's what matters." She placed a letter on his desk. "You've been promoted to junior project officer. You earned it." Fahad's eyes widened. "But I'm just an intern." She smiled gently. "Not anymore." Down the hall, Adil watched everything from his cabin. His hands were shaking. Then his phone rang. It was HR. "Please report to the boardroom immediately." His legs felt heavy as he walked. Inside the boardroom, Mariam sat with two other directors. Adil entered, sweating. He forced a smile. "Ms. Mariam, I want to apologize. I never meant to disrespect." She raised her hand again. "Save it, Adil. I already saw the real you." She took out a file from her bag. "This has reports of your behavior, your misuse of power, and your emails mocking staff." He looked shocked. I was just joking in those emails." "Jokes that humiliate others are not funny, Adil. They're dangerous." She closed the file. "You're being removed from your position, effective today." Adil sank into the chair. No more pride, no more smile. Just a man who finally saw his mask fall off. That evening, Mariam held a small meeting in the break room. Not in the boardroom. Not in the big glass hall. In the same place where people like her used to eat quietly, hidden from others. She stood in front of all the workers, cleaners, guards, pantry staff, helpers. "This company was built by people like you," she said. "You are not invisible, not anymore." They clapped, some cried. Others bowed their heads in silent respect. Mariam smiled. "From now on, this place belongs to everyone, not just the ones with shiny shoes." Outside the building, Adil walked away alone. No cheers, no power. No one even noticed him leave. But inside the walls he once ruled, a new era had begun. The office was different now. Not because the furniture changed. Not because new posters were on the walls. but because the people inside had started to think. For the first time, the cleaning staff walked without looking down. The pantry boy joked with the receptionist and was not shushed. The guards at the entrance were greeted with smiles. The walls that once heard silence and gossip now heard something new: respect. Mariam sat in her office, reading old files. She found documents written by her father, Mr. Zubair. His notes were full of dreams. This company must care for all workers, not just the ones with titles. She touched the page gently. "I will finish what you started, Baba," she whispered. That day, she held a meeting with the full staff. But this time, she didn't stand on the stage. She stood on the same level as everyone else. "Today, I don't want to talk about targets or money," she said. "I want to talk about value, human value." Everyone listened quietly. She turned to the back row, where the cleaning and support staff stood. "For months, you were invisible to many, but I saw your honesty. I saw your strength." The workers looked shocked. Some had tears in their eyes. She pointed to an old cleaner, Mrs. Nasreen. "You work here for 12 years, never late, never rude, but no one knew your name. From today, everyone will." The staff clapped. Mrs. Nasreen cried silently and covered her face. Then Mariam looked at the interns and juniors. "This is your chance to grow, but never forget, your power is not in your position. Your power is in your kindness." She smiled at Fahad, who stood proudly among them now, no longer just the intern. After the meeting, people didn't rush back to work. They stayed behind, talking, laughing, helping each other pick up chairs and cups. It felt real. For the first time in a long time, the office felt like a family. Later, Mariam walked alone through the old storage room. This was the place where she used to rest as a cleaning lady. A small wooden bench, a dusty mirror, a broken locker. She sat down and looked at her reflection. Not the powerful woman, just Mariam. Daughter, dreamer, fighter. "You did it," she said softly to herself. "But it's only the beginning." Meanwhile, outside the company, a news story began spreading. "Cleaning lady revealed as company owner, teaches a lesson in humanity." Videos from the company's meeting were going viral. People online praised her. "She's a queen. This is the kind of leadership we need." Powerful story. I cried watching her speech. But Mariam didn't care about the fame. She only wanted her father's dream to come alive again. That evening, as the office lights turned off, Mariam stood at the rooftop. The city below looked busy and loud. But up there, it was quiet, peaceful. She closed her eyes and remembered her father's voice. "Mariam, never forget. A good leader eats last, listens first, and walks with those who carry the load." She smiled, eyes wet. "I remember, Papa, always." Behind her, Fahad appeared. "Sorry to disturb, Mariam. I just wanted to say thank you." She turned, surprised. "Thank you for what?" "For seeing me, for trusting me, and for showing us that power means nothing without heart." Mariam nodded. "It's people like you who give me hope." As they looked at the city lights together, Mariam whispered. The walls heard everything. Now the world will too. And in that moment, the silence spoke louder than words. Weeks had passed since Mariam revealed the truth. The company had changed, not just in rules, but in soul. There were no more fake smiles, no more whispers behind backs, no more invisible workers. Now, everyone had a name. Everyone had a voice. Mariam sat in her father's old chair, going through photos from the past, staff events, factory visits, even a few where she was in the background, holding a mop. She smiled at one photo. It was blurry. She was in uniform, wiping a glass door. In the reflection, Adil was laughing with two managers. He didn't know the glass he laughed next to would one day reflect his fall. Mariam turned her attention to a new project, the Dignity Program. She had created it to ensure no one in the company was ever mistreated again. This program included equal lunch tables, monthly staff appreciation, anonymous complaint boxes, emergency help funds for lower staff, emotional support sessions. People from other companies started calling her, Some invited her to speak at events. Others wanted to copy her leadership style. But Mariam said the same thing every time. I didn't do this to be famous. I did it because no one deserves to feel less than human. One afternoon, as she walked through the office, she saw something beautiful. Fahad, now a team leader, was serving tea to the cleaning staff. The security guard was teaching computer basics to the pantry boy. And the receptionist was helping the junior staff write better emails. It wasn't forced. It wasn't fake. It was family. Mariam stepped outside and looked up at the company sign. She quietly removed the old board that just had the company's name. She replaced it with a new one, Zubair & Co., where every role matters. She stood back and looked at it. Now it feels complete, she whispered. That evening, a small event was held in the company's courtyard. All the staff had gathered. Fahad stood on stage and called Mariam to speak. She stepped up slowly, dressed in a simple white dress, no makeup, no shine, just herself. She looked around. So many faces. Some who once ignored her, some who once helped her, and many new ones who now saw her as a symbol of strength. Mariam spoke softly. When I first walked into this company as a cleaner, I felt invisible. I saw people laugh, lie, and pretend. But I also saw hearts that cared, even when no one was watching. She paused and looked at Fahad. You reminded me that respect doesn't come from position. It comes from how you treat people when you think they're less than you. She turned to the cleaning staff. You held this company together when others only wanted to shine. You cleaned up after the messes, not just on floors, but in people's behavior. People clapped with real feeling. Some cried. Mariam smiled gently. I was once unseen, but now I see all of you. The lights on the stage dimmed. A screen behind her lit up, showing photos from her time as a cleaner. Every person looked at the photos with new eyes. Ashamed, inspired, grateful. Then, one last photo appeared. It was of Mariam and her father when she was just a little girl. He had his arm around her. She looked at it and whispered, I hope you're proud, Baba. The audience stood and clapped for a long time. Not for a CEO, not for a businesswoman, but for a human being who reminded the world. Greatness doesn't wear a suit. It wears humility.